Good morning, Intenders.
Good morning.
Welcome and welcome back to Morning Intentions. Today is Tuesday, May 26th. It's been a bit since we've been back since last Thursday, and here we are once again, ready to dive into living a heart-led life. I'm really proud of us.
You're really proud of us for what?
For taking these past 2 work days off, Friday and yesterday, Monday.
I am too. Today still is Monday when we're making this podcast. I'm still in vacation mode when we're making this.
I am too.
So I hope this podcast turns out okay because I have watched good movies. We've had good food. Dawn and I invited you over for our Memorial Day celebration, which was yesterday. We got to visit some friends. You got to visit some friends. It's been a really wonderful little break, hasn't it? But I'm still in vacation mode.
I am too, and that's what I'm proud of us for. In days gone by, we would have been up and at 'em. We couldn't take even today off. We still couldn't be in vacation mode. We probably would have done a podcast for Friday. We're now living a heart-led life, one that we're checking in with and saying what is true for us, not living through fear. And what was true for us is taking Friday and Monday off the podcast.
I've loved it. I am excited, though, to ask you a few questions. We haven't talked about this before the podcast, which is also a little bit unusual. Not always, because we try to keep things fresh, but usually if I have something I want to talk to you about it, I say, I'm going to talk to you about this. What is your response? I know what you've said, but like inside, I want to get to what you feel inside, Ada. We have received multiple questions about living a heart-led life when it comes to people putting themselves out there. They say, okay, been listening to the podcast. I'm going to do this living a heart-led life thing. I'm going to let the fear go. And they either make decisions or they interact in a certain way and they get pushback. Or they get more than pushback, they get anger. We've had a number of clients, like toward the end of last week, say, living a heart-led life isn't that easy. You guys are making it kind of sound easy, but it's not. It's much more complicated than seeing the roles that I've been playing and understanding what expectations I've had and Ada's now 6-step process, especially that last step, Ada.
Would you like to remind us all of what that step is?
Yes. What can I gain by living a heart-led life? So the question then has become, well, what am I gaining? Because I might have to end some relationships if I live a heart-led life. I might have to make decisions that aren't so popular with my family or my coworkers if I'm living a heart-led life. This is challenging stuff. I hope that we weren't making it seem like, oh, this is just going to be a walk in the park. It's not really a walk in the park, but that seems to be the feedback that we're receiving is you guys are making this seem like this is the wonderful thing and that it's kind of easy to do, but it's not really that easy to do. Now, I know what you have said to the different clients and what you've said really related to their specific issues. So what would you say, though, more broadly when it comes to it is challenging to stay in alignment with ourselves. It is challenging not to hustle for our worth. It is challenging to choose to live a heart-led life as opposed to a fear-led life. It's challenging and it's also worth it. But why? That's the question that we're getting. Why is this worth it? Isn't it just easier to go along and get along?
It can seem that way, but the answer is no, it's not. It's not easier to go along to get along because every time you go along to get along, you chip away at your own self-esteem, your self-worth, your sense of self because you're not showing up with authenticity.
Especially when you're going along and it's incongruent with what you think or what you feel or who you are.
That's typically what I think of when I think about the phrase go along to get along. I'm going along with what isn't true for me in order to maintain a sense of equilibrium within a relationship, not a sense of peace. And I chose equilibrium instead of peace because when I've gone on to get along, I felt no peace in myself because I knew it was incongruent with what I actually wanted. Now, to explain more of what is on my mind when you ask me that, what does this all mean? What is it worth? You and I have spoken about wearing different masks, and we could wear a different mask for different people. Now, that is more common vernacular, but let's go back all the way back to ancient Greece and what that truly means to wear a mask. Way long ago in ancient Greek theater, the actors, which were actually called hypocrites because hypocrite is just the Greek word for actor, they would wear masks of the character they were playing. Now, today in Hollywood, of course, there's digital effects and prosthetics, and yes, there's masks in that sense, but that was a primary part of their craft. You would wear a mask. And so you weren't playing yourself, you were showing up and playing this role of this character. Now, in our modern lives, when we're talking about masks, we're talking about playing a role, putting on a character that we show up as in different areas of our lives. Those masks get heavy. Don't you agree, Annette?
They do.
They get so heavy because, and this is going to be hard for people to hear, and I'm not saying you're this, but it is this. It's dishonest. I'm not calling people dishonest, nor am I calling people liars. But when we wear that mask that isn't true for us, when we're not being heart-led and we're playing a character and we're playing a role that we think we should play, we are in a sense being dishonest because it's not true to us. I felt how heavy those masks become. And in our coaching, we've seen how heavy those masks weigh on people's hearts. When they're not being true to themselves, it sucks all the life out of them. It sucks away their motivation, their sense of self. It also distorts the relationship and disrupts it because they're not who they really want to be. They're who they think they should be with other people. And so those masks, we don't want to be wearing those. We don't want to be the hypocrites. We don't want to be the actors because when we aren't the actors, there's freedom in being our true selves. There's freedom in showing up as we actually are with authenticity. And Annette, you always talk about integrity because that's one of your top 5 values. When our words and our actions match, that's your meaning of integrity. If we're wearing a mask, our words and our actions don't match. And our intentions and our actions don't match because that's not true to us.
And that's the heart of the matter. Having the courage, having the strength, reaching out for support if you need it, doing what you know is true for you, making decisions that are true for you, making decisions that may not be that popular, but you need to make them because it's what's true for you. Not in a selfish sense, but you just can't go along and continue wearing the mask. You can't go along in an extremely dysfunctional relationship, as an example, and just keep going along and have these silent agreements. This is just what we're going to do. Everyone who I have known that continues with silent agreements, like this is destructive behavior, but I'm just going to keep on playing a role and not going to say anything. I'm not going to make any changes. Those silent agreements, that's part of the mask wearing. That's also part of not being led by your heart. That's part of being fear-led because you don't make any changes and things just keep going, even though you can be miserable or other people can be miserable, or we just say, well, this is the way this relationship is, or this is the way this person is, or we just have to deal with it. But being heart-led is much more intentional. It says, no, I can't do this any longer. No, I won't put up with this any longer. No, I can't keep pretending to be this person's that's this because I really feel like that. That's what this is. And it's so hard to get started. But then we've done a lot of work here on the podcast. So we all know what self-alignment feels like. we all know what hustling for our worth feels like. We've had that recognition. So now that we're taking this to living the heart-led life, it gets easier and it gets easier and it gets easier, but I'm not going to say it's easy.
No, if you can hang on, though, through the turbulence that all of this starts with, when we're becoming authentic and living a heart-led life, when we haven't for a long time, if ever, there is that turbulence at the beginning. But
I love that word turbulence because that's what it feels like.
Well, it's a shakeup. And if we can hang on through that and stick with it, there's sunny skies ahead.
On that sunny note,
our intention for today is I will recognize the courage and strength it takes to live a heart-led life. I will recognize the courage and strength it takes to live a heart-led life. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our day is better because you are part of our day. See you tomorrow.
See you then.